Hello, my name is Danny Somerville. I recently graduated high school. My pronouns are he, him, and I identify as a trans masculine boy with a little bit of femme.
Hey everyone, my name is Ariel. I'm 16 years old and I am a transgender female. I go to school in New York and I was on the Gender Spectrum Youth Council this past year.
Hi, my name is Zana. I use they, them, and she, her pronouns, and I live in California.
I'm lucky enough to go to a really open-minded, forward-thinking school. The faculty are all very, very educated about gender, which is very helpful. They still don't understand some of the vernacular and the basic vocabulary, but at least they know that gender is more than a binary, which is kind of like the fundamental basis of, thinking about gender in more of an open and intersectional point of view. So I think my school is really, really great with that. My school has an anti-bullying policy, so if they sense any kind of bullying happening, they will automatically shut it down, and that's what's so great about my school.
To me, what it feels like to be in a school that affirms my gender is being able to go to a safe place every day. It shouldn't be a privilege that everyone should be able to have. One time my school affirmed my gender was they allowed me to run for homecoming king, and students themselves did it themselves. And the school approached me and asked me how I would like to be identified and if I wanted to be homecoming king or homecoming knight or homecoming ace or what type of language I wanted to use. And then I did come in second and they allowed me to wear the sash and everything.
So, one thing that my school did that was super gender affirming and made me feel very safe and welcome there was when I came to my principal to ask if we could turn our private restroom and our front office into a gender neutral restroom. I had the bathroom sign and everything ready. I just needed to ask and I needed permission. And I explained to him like why is it important and why is it important to me as a student and etc. And he was like, I'm all for it 100%. That sounds like a really great idea.
Since I'm not stealth, having to educate others and constantly being in that place of thinking politically about my gender, of just talking to people and having to educate them, having to answer really ignorant and invasive questions that can sometimes be really frustrating, and also being like the token trans person of my GSA or just the token trans person in general. Like if somebody has a question about gender, they just automatically come to me first before anyone else, before they open a book, before they go online. I'm just basically an outlet for them to ask all these questions.
The hardest part for me at school navigating my gender is definitely having to answer questions. Sometimes I'm okay with answering them, but sometimes they're too personal or sometimes they just come off as plain rude. And a lot of the times I just want people to know because usually there's simple answers to them. Like sometimes kids and school staff, it can just be that they're curious or they don't know, but it gets really annoying after.
And then there are other struggles, though, of being stealth, kind of being in that constant fear and being unsure about who to come out to. Yeah, it's all very nerve wracking.
Plainly, I just wish that they knew it exists, and I wish that they knew that, my pronouns and other people's pronouns and genders are just as valid as cisgenders, and I feel like everyone would benefit from being educated on those kinds of topics because I notice that a lot of the education that we get is very heteronormative and cis normative, and that's not very positive, especially when you're a trans student or you're a gender non-conforming student. It just doesn't feel good to constantly hear like boy and a girl and wife and husband and boyfriend and girlfriend because we know that that's not like the only way things exist in this world, and we know that, we're valid, but it's just nice to hear that from other people, and it's nice to know that you're recognized.
they should kind of be more open to talking about gender and understand the vocabulary more, because having that vocabulary and knowing what you're talking about when you're talking about gender can be really helpful as a transgender student. So there are resources online that they can look into and that they can find out more about gender on their own, so that they can be educated about it, and they can kind of shut things down.
One thing I wish staff in schools knew about gender is just basic gender trainings, like basic terms, basic understanding of how people transition, of the the non-binary spectrum part of gender would just allow them to not make simple mistakes and simple microaggressions that really hurt people. I feel that everyone has non-gender confirming parts of them, and if they're taught to understand those parts, they can love themselves more. Everyone has points in time where they don't necessarily go and fit in with the mold of what society tells us gender should be like boys who want long hair, who may be completely cis-identified, but still they like having long hair, or girls who like sports. And if people are taught this helps everybody.
I have a message for all of the people that don't have a supportive school environment. I just want you all to know that even if you don't have that support that you're looking for in school or even at home, you will always have a community to tap into, and you will always have a community that will back you up and support you no matter what online. And there are organizations like Gender Spectrum, and just there are probably local organizations near you that are going to be very affirmative and supporting of your gender identity. So I hope that this was helpful to all of you, and good luck with school. If you need anything, feel free to reach out. We are always here for you. So yeah, thanks so much. Bye.